All right, let's try this again. Let's see. All right, can somebody text me? Let me know if you guys can hear me okay. I don't know if you guys heard me the first time around. But, yeah, so somebody text me, let me know that the sound is coming through okay, because it didn't give me the unmute button in the beginning. Anywho, let's get this party started. What's going on, everybody? I'm excited because this is the introduction to the next series, which is a part of the current series. This is really day 87 as we continue to reveal, explain, illuminate, and simplify how to become one with Source. So let's see. All right, I got the thumbs up on the sound. Woo-wee. Sound clear and good. All right, let's get this party started. So we talked about the 7 keys of removing the money block, which is really the introduction for what we're talking about today. And I've been talking about it for the entire series, and this is what we're going to talk about for the rest of the year, really, which is the understanding of the benefits of scalar energy. So these, I'm going to use the word waves of energy, are totally different because they are tumbling or tunneling. So it's quantum molecular fusion of energy at the 0 point, which simply means in English, scalar energy is the culmination of how singularity gains momentum or gets stronger over time. Scalar energy is how singularity gets stronger or gains momentum over time. So scalar energy is really what we call, or what they call the, singularity or 0 point. And so this single rarity, it's rare air, it's singleness. Singleness and 0 point gravity, is one of that term, not gravity, but it's 0 point, which simply means that you got 2 opposing frequencies. When they come together, they neutralize each other, and then they create a third entity or energy. It's binary beats. This is advanced physics of binary beats. So when they came out with this binary beats, they saw that when you put one beat in your left ear and a different beat in your right ear, those 2 beats create a third beat that is undetectable by the human brain, supposedly. So what we're now going to be breaking down during the next 3 days, which I'm so excited about, is to really get into, why singleness of mind is so important. So everything is based upon singleness of mind, or clarity, crystal clear clarity of the cells, what we call crystal clear clarity of the self. So you can't be anyone else. And so there's a war going on between you and God, if you want to use that term. God sending one frequency, you have your own frequency, that creates a third frequency. So that third frequency now has to harmonize. It's harmonizing these 2 opposing frequencies. Most people can't do that, so they suffer from this thing called cognitive dissonance. And this cognitive dissonance is what we call problems. All problems are the result of having 2 opposing belief systems inside of one brain. So you can't have a double mind. The Bible talks about a double-minded man or wound man. They won't receive anything from Source. So the problem is double-mindedness. So this double-mindedness is creating all of our problems when we talk about source code. Everybody, we have to be able to establish singleness of mind. So whenever you're double-mindedness, then you don't receive anything. So that's when your prayers go unanswered, because you got 2 minds. You're ordering 2 things at the same time. So we're going to be spending the next 3 days going into the details of establishing singleness of mind, because we talk about it all the time. But scalar energy is created when these 2 circular we're going to talk about circles of electrical magnetic waves that are rotating, that's creating what is called opposite spin. So the physics of it is very interesting because that's how you win. The only way for you to win is to understand how to go within. But we've got two opposing forces that prevent you from going in. You got the current habit self. Then you got trauma-induced mind control. Some people have multiple opposing converging energy vectors or vortexes. And these opposing vortexes, that limits what we call shine. And so it's difficult for anybody to occupy their mind with their guard. Whoops, why is that coming on? Something's coming on in the background. Anyway, it's difficult to over, and understand because there's so many teachings out. And when you think about how people share information, it's on their level of understanding. It's not wrong. It's not right. It's different levels. I just recommend that since everything is level energy, you want to be able to understand the structure of the energy, because that's going to create the function of your life. So you're going to you function according to your level of instruction. That's how you function. So we want to get the highest level of instruction so we can have the highest level of function. So once again, if you get the highest level of instruction, you get the highest level of function. Now, it's not rocket science, but it is, because many of us, we're not getting the highest level of function. Therefore, by definition, the highest level of instruction, so we're not getting the highest level of function. So the highest level of instruction determines the highest level of function. Without this highest level of instruction, you do not get the highest level of function. You are functioning, but you're just not functioning at the highest level. We all are functioning, but like me, some of us are functioning illiterates. Ain't nothing wrong with it, but let's call the frequency what it is. So this double-mindedness, according to the scriptures. Now, again, I didn't write the scriptures. It's put together way before I got here, way before you got here. But we got to understand how, where we are now, this is the greatest time to be alive in the world. The greatest time, because now, as millionaires, the source is making you a millionaire. So you have to be a millionaire or you got to step down. You got to go down because you saying, I do not want to operate according to my design. So that's scalar. Scalar means you got two opposing forces. You got the big G, you got the little g. The big G is saying, choose ye this day whom ye shall serve. Then little g is saying, hey, I pay good. Hang out with me, homie. So you got a choice. That's the beauty. That's why I love how source code set everything up. That way, you get to create your own reality. So you can't blame nobody. But guess what? No, most of I talk to say they don't want to choose. They're like, either I want somebody to choose for me, so you go to church. Because what does church do? The Reverend Dr. Bishop tells you what to do. So the highest level of instruction determines the highest level of function. So you got to connect with the highest level of instruction. That's what we call your gut or your God. And so we all have access to this very, very high level of instruction. But we have options. Now, think about the world that you live in and I live in. We all have different, what's the word I'm looking for? Man. We all have different levels of understanding. And depending on your level of understanding, you selected that level of understanding. Scalar energy is a fusion of excellence. It improves our body's biofield. It literally promotes the flow of energy. It maintains our energy. But that word energy, Daniel, that is a double-edged sword. Because the word energy simply means entity. So source code is limited by your disposition. Because the word, as we will see during this series, remember this today is just the introduction. Again, it's free, and I guess I said that at the beginning. It's the next 3 days are obviously free to everybody that's already paid. For everybody that's not paid, I'm promoting it on other venues so that way, if someone that's not a part, they don't pay the full, $4,000 now to join us for the 360 hours. They can kind of cherry pick from different things. So you guys will see me doing that the entire year. Because not only gives other people opportunity to join us, but it also gives me the opportunity to continue to generate additional income. Because that's exactly what I'm doing, exactly what you should be doing. Multiple streams of income. You should be making offers every day. Now, if you're gainfully employed 9 to 5 and you're doing your thing out in the world, okay, that's a wholly different bird. We're not really talking about that. You continue to, do your 9 to 5. But for people like me who basically we chose to do something that is very unique, which is to put yourself in a position where you have to use your giftedness. Most people don't want to use their gift because it requires shit. Faith that is not faith. It requires, like I tell you guys all the time, it requires a disposition that says, run up on me if you want to, bro. That shit's rare. It's why? Because when you are in a lion's den repeatedly, because you have to produce. If you stop producing, then what happens? You stop generating. Now you can store up for yourself, and that's awesome too. But until you get to the point where you can store up for yourself, which is why I recommend setting up the credit rotation and so on and so forth. Why? That gives you a little bit more breathing room, or what we call cushion, so that way you can maintain singularity. Because the whole purpose of this life is for you to be able to select singleness, scalar entity, which simply means a single standing column of waves, but it's a single standing column of thought that has been thought so long that it's solidified into a particle and it's walking the fuck around every day. That's what John 1:14 says. It's interesting to me that most, especially, now remember, I pick on Christians because it's out of a Christian book. So all Christians should be self-employed, according to the book. Because that's what the book says. So scalar improves our body's biofield. The bioscalar, not bioelectrical magnetic field. It promotes this positive flow of an entity. This entity maintains your energy. This entity maintains your immune system. The entity does. You don't. That entity I call source. Now, where they teach that at? So this is some crazy stuff when you get into the physics of this entity. So they know the entity is here. Source is here. Its source is sending him, her, itself from the star system, Palladius, that's 7 times more powerful than our entity, Sun. Why Source doing that? Source will make sure that she leaves no room for you or me or Tom, Dick, or Harry to get in the mix and F it up. So scalar entity. It's a scalar entity or a scalar energy or scalar energy. Scalar energy improves. It amplifies our electrical, magnetic by removing it. It takes the electrical, magnetic, which are two opposing circles, combines them and creates a third standing. So it's a longitudinal wave, but it goes straight up. Instead of horizontal, it goes vertical. It's a vertical connection with G-O-D. How about stop playing? This is vertical physics. So the scalar energy creates a vertical connection with God instead of a horizontal connection. Right now, it's horizontal. So I'm building a vertical organization where everybody, again, have this, vertical, not vertical, but vertical instead of horizontal connection. It's a vertical connection with the big G. Because remember we talked about, hey, number one, you got to establish a connection, which means you got to establish a communication. Once you establish a communication, then you establish a association. When you establish that association, then you establish what we call this involvement. So that's what we're doing. We're establishing a association, and we all are going to get involved in establishing heaven on earth. In fact, we've been doing it. We just now taking it to a higher level of internal understanding. That's the scalar entity. And this is so freaking awesome because it allows you to transition all of the emotionalism because it brings about a demagnetization and a de-electrification of your emotionalism. So all of this hee, ha, ha, I'm scared, I don't know what to do, all this baby daddy stuff, gone. So you will want to, like me, you will want to be angry. You're going to try to get mad. You're going to want to get into confrontations. Because everybody's going to say, man, like I tell you guys, like when my daughter transitioned, everybody said, man, you're supposed to be broke down, bruh. You don't want to do it because everybody's going to be telling you, man, what's wrong with you? Grieve, homie. Cry. Go punch a hole in the wall. Drive your car into a tree or go, to the graveyard on the anniversary of the death and cry. Take the day off. Put on some sackcloth and ashes and walk around in a dumb stupor. Then you're going to be like, okay, but you're not going to be able to do it. The energy won't be there. It's gone. You only got one frequency now. That is opulence. So people are going to get pissed off at you because they want you to grieve with them. They want you to be sad. They want you to be, man, fucking chemtrails in the air. Doc, what the fuck we going to do, bro? Let's go burn up something. Yeah. Man, they got genetically modified organisms in our food, brother. You see what's going over in Ohio, man? They poisoning the water on purpose, brother. They ain't been doing that, homie. Where you been? People going to be amped up, and they don't know why you ain't amped up. Evil will wax and reign. There are going to be wars and rumors of wars, but the end's not yet. Shit is about to hit the fan, y'all. For them, not us. So them, whoever them are, those 1%ers, all of the Luciferians, if you want to use that term, their time is up. I'm just beginning. So no, bro, I'm not joining you. I'm a single standing column of thought that has been thought so long that now it turns into a thought form or a TULPA. That now it's creating and forming 3D. This chi is becoming 3D. So once you understand the game, now remember that's going to be a separation taking place. It's going to be interesting, but it's not a separation because people don't like you. It's because people don't get you because of your energy. So your energy is going to be like, it's going to start pissing people off. If y'all haven't experienced it already, it's coming. Because there's a chi, prana, pneuma, ruach separation taking place right now as we speak. There's a separation of your chi that, because everybody doesn't want to be. It's crazy because you can see it, like literally I get chills sometimes because of the accuracy of the chi. Because now it's not spookism, because it's physics. So physics is what we're going to be talking about. Physics for the next 3 days. But we're going to talk about physics without using, mathematical terms. So that way everybody can establish spiritual hijacking removal. So that you cannot be, your spirit is no longer hijacked by the dominant culture. Now, remember, I'm trying to be as calm, as cool. I didn't even drink no coffee because I didn't want to be too, over the top, because you literally see the field now. Now, you can't be buoyant. It's not possible to be buoyant because now you have something that nobody else got. What is that? These are physics now. We're talking about this. You can go into a laboratory and you can prove this. Now you have a vertical, not a horizontal. See, right now, horizontally, we are connected because we all are on a flat plane. That's why it's called a plane, ET. It's a plane for extraterrestrial. So now you got to establish vertical. Now you got to go vertical. Scalar energy is vertical. It's not longitudinal. So Tesla figured this out, and you know what happened to Tesla? They would do all of his funding. He stayed in a hotel. He was the richest man in the world, and he died alone and broke, popular. Now you got to remember, because we're forming this organization, that's not going to happen to nobody on this call, because we all got each other's back. If we don't unite, which is connect, associate, we don't associate and establish our own involvement, that's going to happen to us. All black conscious leaders died broken alone. Name a couple consciously. Go back to Medgar Evers. Go back to Malcolm X. Go back to even Dr. King. People think, but look at his last days. Where's Jesse Jackson at? Well, your boy Al Sharpton, where's he at? Last time I saw the video, he went to the hood and they wanted to lay hands on him. My guru that I personally knew, my boy Dr. David Blair. And I talked to him. He was in a hotel room by himself. Black conscious leaders die broke and alone. Why? There's no vertical. There's this longitudinal. Why? Because when you harmonize your brain, you will look insane. What does that mean, though? That means that you are now you cannot be what I call, electrically, magnetically employed. We call it employment. It's an electrical magnetic. Because remember, electricity and magnetism doesn't exist at this level because it's duality. So remember what I said at the beginning of the show. This is very important. There is an up and down relationship with God, but then there's a horizontal relationship with others. Thank you, Sister Diane. Telemates. Sister Diane Telemates, we take some good notes, y'all, in the chat. Appreciate that, Sister Diane. This is what I call opulent energy. That's the only thing that exists. So if you have any thought, remember, God is going to, I don't like that word, man, shit. I got to come up with another word. Big G, what do we call this, Big G? Thank you. You will exist on another wave timeline. So hell is the absence of the solar event that we call God. So waves of light that are embedded in genes, you become a vehicle of light. So that means your waves are not embedded inside of your genes. That just simply means that you have chosen not to engage in what I call cosmic, which again is scalar, because scalar means I got two opposing frequencies, one in my left brain, one in my right brain. When they come together, they create a third frequency. That's called binary beats. It's basic. Look at Dr. Dre. They put one frequency in one ear. They put another frequency in another ear to create an artificial God. That's what AI is. So either you choose that, or you choose what I did to remove the illusion of confusion and operate by establishing a supreme frequency, which is what? Thought selection, which is what? I have a thought, but I don't want to do that thought. Why? Because that thought requires constant past, constant expression of purpose. That's why you're here. So there's no retirement. There's no ease from the perspective of what? Mental maintenance. What does that mean? That means that your thought holds your body together. Yours. But we rather give it to the reverend, the doctor, or the bishop. So what does that mean though? Well, that means that every morning I wake up, if I don't 336, I don't get paid. What happens if I don't get paid? I can't pay my light bill, can't pay my car note, I can't live the standard of life. But what happens if I just choose to allow God to use my body as a vehicle of light? What if I choose to be an ambassador of Christ? Christ, higher level. What if I make a choice to become a single, vertical communication? What if I decide to let God download like I did today? I made a decision. Source code downloaded. I was going to talk about something totally different. And I was like, no, I don't want to do that. So because I've chosen to be me, not to connect with the electrical magnetic ploy of someone else. Not that that's wrong. Remember what I said at the beginning of the show. Man, I'm knowing that you have the mental capacity to connect with Source. I am wishing, hoping you got it. Otherwise, you wouldn't be here. So that means scalar energy improves your singleness of mind, not your cognitive dissonance. So my left brain and my right brain that are now opposing each other, they harmonize and they become one brain. That's like in the movie Limitless. Now, I've been doing this since 13. I just didn't know what the bleep I was doing, but I established I got rid of my electrical magnetic biofield, and I established a new singularity that's called the scalar field. So now it promotes positive flow of energy. That's where I get my energy from, but the word energy means an entity. So I got a positive entity. The positive entity is attracted to me now. And it maintains my energy inside of my mitochondrial DNA that brings about a balance that boosts my immunity. Now, this is all centurion science, proven by David Sinclair from Harvard. Now, we're going to get into this for the next 3 days, but we're going to get into the thing that where you are at right now, you are in a dangerous place because you have to choose to be God on earth. God is looking to duplicate himself, herself, itself. You don't have to, though. But what happens? Nothing happens to you. You just keep oscillating and vibrating in electricity and magnetism. That means you stay in duality. That means that you have good days and bad days. You don't live in opulence where every day is a good day. Because bad days are good days in disguise. Problems are products. So when a problem presents itself, you get excited. When a problem don't present itself, you get excited. So you have one state, excited. So you have the energy, you have excitement, you have enthusiasm. Somebody dies, you get excited. Because you know that they shed their limitations of their dirt. Now their energy, the ET, there's no more terrestrial. Now they're celestial. You know this because you read my book. Death, where is your grave? Death, where is your sting? Grave, where's your victory? Now you know this. You don't need no reverend, doctor, or bishop. So when somebody dies, you know, man, I don't need no consulting. I ain't grieving. I ain't suicidal. In fact, I'm trying to go to the club and party like a rock star. Why? The highest level of instruction determines the highest level of function. I know this, though. I know it from my gut. So I don't need no reverend. Don't call me, man. That's why I got, like, a little bit, and I tell you guys, hey, you know, nobody ever, when you guys see me talk, I'm talking about the past, present, or future. I'm only sharing that with you, again, so you understand how I got here. Because I'm getting new people in this group that don't know shit about none of my stuff. And some of you old guys have been around with me for a long time. Like, why Doc keep talking about this old shit? But I got people like sister, like my boy brother, you know, brother Daniel. I got my sister Telemates, who's taking great notes. Sister Kendra, did I say that right, Sister Kendra? Brother Jesse, the motorcycle guy. Sister Williams, Carolyn, Brother Campos, Brother Mitch, Sister Noel, Sister Erica. All of these people, there's like 15 people that never, ever heard me speak. So they don't know shit about what you know. So you've been rocking, Brother Jerome been rocking with me for a long time. Dr. Martinet, so Dr. Martinet, Dr. Jerome, some of you guys are like, why Dr. Cheryl West been rolling with me for a while. That's why I got 15 new people that don't know nothing about my blog talk. They don't know my credentials. They're like, who the fuck this nigga on? Why he walk around calling himself a master? They don't even know where I got the name master. They think some people may think, again, everybody think I'm a Mason. Nobody knows what I know except, you know, a few Masons. So I got to end, but I'm not just going to go back because I'm just sending them tapes. But a lot of them, like you, they don't listen to the tapes. They just ask me a question. And I'm like, I already answered that question 25 years ago. But they don't know. So what I'm going to do? I'm going to get mad at them? There's different levels to this game, man. Respect everybody's level. How the fuck are you going to get mad at somebody because they're not on your level? Nobody went through the same shit you went through. We got to have mutual love and mutual respect for all levels of the game. I teach all levels of the game. That's why I'm a master teacher. So you got to respect me and I'll respect you. That's what? Scalar. Scalar gives you vision. It gives you the ability to see because you can pick up everybody's chi. So I'm talking to somebody, I can immediately tell, okay, go down to level 3. I'm talking to somebody else and say, oh, snap, they high vibrations like keep it on. Go up to level, 118. So I'm able to, depending on who I'm talking to, you got that same power because God, source, the big G will structure your thought patterns to connect so that way you can function. These are called the code of codes. So source code, this is the source code of all Homo sapiens. So every Homo sapien has a source code. That means that there's a specific set of cosmic planetary impressions that's embedded in your DNA. I can read them. You can too. So let me make sure we all understand. Overstand and understand. Right now, God is telling you got a choice. You can be self-scalar. I'm going to use the word detached. When I was in the military, we would get deployed. And we would go on a detachment. And I worked at different Marine Corps detachments. And I always wondered why did they use the word deploy and deployment? Like my son right now is in the Navy and he's on deployment. They never use the word employment. He's on deployment. So deployment is the act of deploying. The act of deploying is the arrangement and the distribution of your resources. The act of deployment is the arrangement and the distribution of your resources. Not mine, yours. Deployment. Now you have a choice today. Both choices are high vibrational. Source code gives you the choice for deployment or employment. It's totally up to you. Everybody has that option. You get to choose based upon your personality, based upon your numbers, and based upon how you want to live your life. Today we're just so happen to be introducing the science and the metaphysics of being, well, they call deployment. So scalar energy, again, is activated whenever you deploy yourself. Electricity and magnetism is activated whenever you electricity and employ yourself. When, thankfully, the Big G says it's done unto you as you believe. No one is better than anyone else. My brother's been on a job 30 years. My sister's been on her job 30 plus years. All my family, I'm the only one in my family that's quote unquote on deployment. My wife has been with her job for, I think about 10 years. She's a 4. She tells me every day, there's no way I could do what you do. So if you're a 4, if you got 4s in your number, in your path, yes, you're going to have a desire for stability. You can't shoot out of the hip like me because it messes up your chi. So everybody has to know themselves. That's your job. No set that soon. But remember, I know set that soon too. In other words, I know you. You know you. So are you going to be you? Or are you going to be somebody else? So that's what we're talking about, scalar. For the next 3 days, we're just establishing, choose ye this day whom ye will serve. Totally, totally up to you. Source code, however, is calling you to be a vehicle of light. He's inside of you. She's inside of you. It's inside of you. It's oscillating and vibrating as you. And it wants to express, expose, and expand itself through you. But you got to allow it by aligning your mind with your highest design. Then God takes over. You get a download into your gut. And you know exactly what to do every day. See, that's how to know which voice to listen to. When I wake up in the morning, there's a lot of voices in my head. And some voices say, hey, stay in bed and chill. Some voices say, hey, let's just go to watch TikTok videos for an hour. Some voices say, make the bed up. Some voices say, bump the bed, dog. You just gonna get back in it later and mess it up. Some voices says, man, it's hot outside. Don't go out there and do no earthing today. Some voices say, let's do no exercise today. Then another voice says, let's do extra today. So I have a lot of voices in my head, like you do. But the voices in my head, they are controlled by what I call a visual mandala or mantra. This visual mandala or mantra is awesome because it controls my chi. Now, when we talk about controlling your chi, that allows you to be. But what does it allow you to be? It allows you to be an individual expression of source code on earth. Now, let me make sure you understand, because you don't have to be. The beauty of it is you can stay in what we call double-mindedness, which is, again, normal. Everybody got a left hemisphere, a right hemisphere. It's called a brain. Now, how do you activate the brain so it can implement, so that you're able to maintain? You have to activate the brain. So the brain is a tool just like a computer. You, however, based upon the dominant TULPA in the brain. So we're going to break all of this down. Remember, this is just the intro today, and it's free for everybody that's already a part of the program. For everybody else, it's $199. Because again, I'm going to be posting this later on other venues, so that's why I'm putting that. So now we have in what's called TULPA, T-U-L-P-A, Mancy, TULPAMANCY. So this is the practice, if you want to use that term, aka involvement, of creating and interacting with tulpas. These are called mental constructs. They produce something called auto hallucinatory manifestation. Now, this is going a little too deep for the intro, but I need you to understand what we're going to be doing. The internet creates, if you talk to any cognitive therapist, anybody who understands, talk to a molecular, biological scientist. When you talk to somebody who is schizophrenic, they have something called malignant psychosis. This is a TULPA, T-U-L-P-A. It is a institutionalization of social isolation. It's a term that we use as a practitioner. Tulpamancy is like necromancy in the Bible. Unfortunately, you were never taught tulpamancy. This shit is only taught in Tibet. That's where I got it from. Well, actually, from a guy by the name of Alexander David Neal, who studied over in Tibet, who broke down the mystical, esoteric teachings of the Tibetan monks. Because, unfortunately, we conjure up tulpas using tulpamancy, and nobody understands the metaphysics and the science behind the ancient Tibetan practice of manifesting imaginary friends. You did that shit when you was a kid. It is a intense mental construct or intense mental concentration. In fact, if you're born in the month of April, you do that shit all day, every day, and don't even know it. Tulpamancy should be taught in school, but it's not. On average, when you find somebody, remember the lady that I was telling you guys who's a client of mine, I talked to a couple of days ago, very attractive, black lady, lives in Atlanta right now. She got a PhD. Now she's doing good. When I met her, remember she couldn't go. She would go 2 or 3 times to the emergency room. Retired, military female. You guys know the story. Something, she was over in Gulf War and some really, really traumatic shit happened to her, and it just, departmentalized her brain. So she couldn't function. She had these severe migraines that required an to go to the emergency room, flash her freaking card, and they would inject directly into her bloodstream opium, just basically to knock her out. So when I started doing counseling with her, no traditional therapist could assist her. Kind of like the young girl who lived with me, like I told you now she lives in Las Vegas. She has 3 sons, doing great. She lived with me for 3 years before, I told her, I told you guys the story, same thing. When I adopted her, if you will, I didn't go through the formal thing, but when I picked her up in Vegas, the only reason I did because she was my first wife's brother's daughter. He didn't throw her away, but, she did murder. I mean, a lot of crazy stuff. Not only him, burn the house down, all kind of crazy shit. When I got her, I recognized what y'all call a demon, which was a tulpa, which was, again, this ability to manifest imaginary friends by intense mental concentration. If maintained, that mental construct takes its own physical shape. Once it does, it's fully autonomous, but it lives inside your body. I've asked everybody to go to Google and just type in, what doctors call a cyst, and just look at it. It got eyes, it got teeth, and you cannot tell me that that's not a person inside of another person. Now, the medical doctor, remember, modern day demonology is yesterday's psychology. These doctors know this, they just don't tell you. So, I replace error with truth. That also becomes a what? A money block. Because that thing inside of you that's controlling you, It is a demonoid cyst. At least that's what the dominant culture calls it. But emphasis on the word demon. Now, these demonoid cysts inside of the body is called a teratoma. Again, Google it. Look all this shit up. Don't believe me. I got 100 grand in any Negro that can prove it wrong. No, Negroes too. I take all comers. Okay, I'm just playing. But what are you saying? That well, this teratoma literally is a person inside of a person. But you can't say that in public. Just like you cannot say certain plants and vegetables cure cancer. A black van will show up at your house saying that you violated the FDA's, saying that food cannot cure diseases because of word matching. So Dr. Sabi got in trouble, and I supposedly one of his sons is in trouble now too for saying plants cure disease. So what I'm saying which is why I never, people ask me all the time, Doc, with your PhDs, plural, your education, how come you not teaching in a university? How come you don't have, how come you're not a licensed psychotherapist? Same reason I did not choose after I went through, back in the day it's called Century 21 real estate. And to get my real estate license to become a broker, I did the whole class, passed the test, and refused my license. Why? Employment versus employment. The moment you take that license, you have something called a board of ethics that you can get sued. You can sue me all you want. I don't report to no board. I'm not licensed in no state to perform, yet I know more than any medical doctor that I've met and any therapist. But I'm smarter also than any doctor I've met and any therapist. But it doesn't come from me. It comes from I got something called God, source, the big G, that I get my instructions from. So do you. Only difference is I'm conscious, and I like the Bible says, and like everything says, you are surrounded by a cloud of witnesses, but they can't interject unless you say, I need some assistance. But we've got a problem. Nobody tells you how to do it. If people ask for assistance in anger, they don't ask for assistance when they are in a benevolent state. How come? They are full of demons. But they're not demons. They are teratomas. They are intense mental creations that they have created because of not knowing how to use their mental powers. So TULPAMANCY and TULPAMANCers, they have willed, if you want to use that term, usually from a place of anger, imaginary friends that take on flesh inside of flesh. They literally conjured up. Now, there have been people that like the young lady I talked to, mentioned before, that you can go in and cut those things out, they just go right back. Or you can make them dissolve the same way you can pass a kidney stone, which is what I do. So when I meet people who have them, I never tell them that because, again, everybody gets all spicked up and scared because of Christianity. So we don't understand that we have mental power over all of this. I don't care what it is. So I don't care what problem presents itself. It's just a disposition. You got the highest gun in the fight. You got the biggest disposition. So when you walk through the valley of shadow and death, you fear no evil. So you know. But if you don't know, then you don't know. That's the point of this next 3 days. Scalar entities are real. Electrical magnetic entities are real. So if you are electrical, magnetically ployed, there's a ploy. There's nothing wrong with it. You just got to be aware of it. Because the devil works in our ignorance. So what we're talking about, again, is becoming, putting ourselves in a mental state where we can win. That's what we're talking about. But everybody's worried. About what? They don't have a stratagem. Now, the word ploy means a strategy, usually that's given in a conversation to gain advantage. Ploy. So when you are employed, you are an employee. You have an electrical magnetic, that's duality, strategy to keep you in a place of disadvantage. And they're wrong with it because remember, they pay you based upon you. You put in effort, you get payment. I have deportment. I put in departure. I receive a strategy, which means plan, which means a scheme to obtain a goal or a advantage over the adversary or your competitor. That's what this kingdom millionaire, that's what millionaires do. Now, worldly millionaires, they probably don't do it spiritually the way I do. They do everything I just said, but they have an electrical magnetic tulpa that they themselves have manifested because they have very intense willpower, just like I did. So when I summoned up the tulpa that gave me assistance to keep getting beat up when I was a kid, because I went through now, especially after I joined the Thyleminic Order of the Golden Dawn, and I got into understand the science behind what we call Satanism, because I had to study it, because I was doing it, but I didn't know. They just told me, damn, you good. Like, good at what? But shit, you like, they calling you Beelzebub. I told you guys, Satanists called me, man, and told me, like, can you help us out? And I was just like, well, help y'all do what? Well, willed, W-E-L-D, willed, your will. I didn't know that was Taima. Nobody told me, just like nobody told you. So if you were stubborn, like me, I was born that way, though. I just didn't, if I made up my mind to do something, you beat me, I don't give up. I already made up my mind. That's the worst disposition you can have. It's also the best. If you know how to use it, which is the whole point of this class. The whole point of this class is not spookism, like what most people get. The whole point of this class is to understand that there's a whole sub or subtle culture around creating, using intense willpower, what we call the soul. But most people, again, are fighting imaginary demons. So if your back is up against the wall, then you have to go and get a job. So you don't have time to address or to establish the ability to manifest by creating an intense mental construct that takes on physical shape, has the potential to take on physical shape, and become its own autonomous being from you. So we don't want to do that by using what? Anger. What if you use intense love instead of intense anger? You just connect to source. And that gets into what is called geomancy instead of tulpamancy. Then we get in also in the theomancy. The goal is for everybody to understand that scalar energy is just the science and the metaphysics behind what we call theomancy, which is the ability for you to create waves of energy that are tunneled into you to create a imprint of God on your human DNA. That's called zero frequency. So this is a field-like energy that expands outward in a circle. It overpowers the two circles called electricity and magnetism. This identity that you select is called a vector. Some people call it a vortex. That's your stratagem or your strategy. Your job and my job is to do what? Your job and my job is to understand this strategy, this stratagem is already established. You just got to get yourself out of the way so you can play. So we are limiting our expression because we select unknowingly to align ourselves with different design. That's all that means. Is that I think about 3. So we get to align ourselves with different designs. How about that, you guys? So in conclusion, what does that mean? For the next 3 days, we get to go deep. This going to be deep. Only because of the understanding that as a individual God over they call it PLEO and then the word tropics. This is how we, as I hate to use the word human, establish the epigenetic regulation of expression inside of the mitochondrial DNA. It's almost like you can use your thoughts to control the cellular metabolism. This is crazy. Literally, your cellular metabolism, you get to remove all of the what is called stressors by activating the family. There's a bunch of regulators inside of the cells called phytotoxins. These regulators activate stem cells. It's called stem cell biology, by the way. And this assists with controlling disease and aging. You can do this with pills, you can do it with diet, or you can do it with your brain. Your brain, again, is so powerful, you can literally impact stem cells that are lying dormant inside of your bones. That's what the Bible talks about, them bones, them dry, bones, them bones. Remember that? It talks about the bones. You can literally modulate what's called the pluripotential of stem cells. Spelled P-L-U-R-I and then we're potent, P-O-T-E-N-T. You have that power with your brain. And this removes what is called cellular drain or cellular stress. So we're going to be really talking about this, Saturans, which is a whole science. But it helps to maintain, again, because at the end of the day, what we're talking about is generating, operating, and directing by removing our ego and allowing source code to download its plan, and for us to allow it to flow. For me, that means get out of the way and allow source to creatively, imaginatively communicate. Because I got what I would like to say, but maybe it's something totally different from what source code wants to say. So if I got my ego involved, like, hey, I want people to look at me. And I'm the man. So why? I can build up my ego and have a whole big following, and everybody's looking at me. Nobody's growing. Nobody's changing. It's just self-grandizement. So my job is to monitor myself, to make sure that I'm not in this just for self-grandizement. I'm literally here to make sure that everybody on this call is able to deploy themselves if they choose to. Instead of being employed by someone else, you can be deployed by yourself. That's scalar energy. Scalar energy is to understand, okay, that sounds great, Doc. But how do we deploy ourselves? How do we establish a vertical 0 point instead of a longitudinal electrical magnetic wave? So the longitudinal electrical magnetic waves trigger higher ATP levels. Now, that's good. But we got to go to the next step. Because it's longitudinal. What does that mean? That means the current system makes you a fit extension for this dimension. Nothing wrong with it, though. Let's keep it real. Let's keep it real. Let's keep it real. Can we keep it real? What's wrong with being a fit extension for this dimension? That means that, you like Tom, Dick, Harry, everybody that's out in the world. You go out into the world and, you grinding and shining. You making duckies. You are a fit extension for this dimension. What we call this electrical magnetic frequencies, waves, and vibrations. That means you're a walk-in. That means a tulpa can access your body. We call it, I got pissed off. I don't know what happened to me, Doc. You was talking and I took shit personal, brother. So I hung up. Something I got angry, man. It's like you said something, man, and I knew you was talking about me. Because like this little mother, who do you think he's talking to? And you just got to, that means that something, frequency wave vibration, walked in. That's how I'm just going to talk to what we call mammon. This is TULPAMANCY. We call it emotionalism, though. Emotionalism simply means you're a fit extension for this dimension. That's it. Now, it's not bad. So the question is, are you a fit? I mean, like, they do just like, ding, like it's a perfect fit. You put on your clothes and like, oh, snap, man. You lose a couple of pounds in the clothes that you couldn't get into, bam, now they fit. So are you a fit, frequent intense training? That's TULPA. That's why exercise is exorcism. Why y'all think I do it all the time? Don't tell nobody. So are you a fit extension for this dimension? Or that means you're longitudinal. Or stick with me for the next 3 days, which I already know you have our vibrational keep it on, so I'm going to do that. And you get a fit extension for divinism. Ooh, it's about to go down. All right, you guys, I love you. I appreciate you. Thanks, Source Code, for you. Ain't nothing you can do about it. We'll see you guys mañana. God bless.